Pacific. The fire that swept through Maui this week is now the deadliest U.S. wildfire in more than 100 years, officials said last night, with at least 93 people dead, and that figure is tragically expected to only grow as emergency workers uncover more scenes of horror, lines of abandoned charred cars that trace the fury of the flames, fanned by the winds of a hurricane hundreds of miles away. Homes reduced to ash as people ran for their lives, some of them running into the sea, where some floated for hours, battling fumes and watching their city burn. The ocean off Lahaina, Hawaii, will also need to be dredged for bodies, one leader said. And as those who recover asked desperately for help and information, top officials say they are still battling dangerous circumstances on the ground and pledged to get Hawaii all the resources it needs to recover and to investigate why the island of Maui was not more prepared for this disaster. Joining us now live from Hawaii, Senator Mazie Hirono, a Democrat who spent yesterday surveying the damage on the island of Maui with the governor and the director of FEMA. Senator, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so sorry it's under these tragic circumstances. You toured the devastation firsthand yesterday. What did you see and what did you hear from people on the ground?
The entire historic town of Lahaina burned to the ground, and the images of cars totally they have been demolished, and we saw a group of cars near the ocean, and it's quite clear that the occupants of those cars probably fled into the ocean, and I was told that at least 12 people were rescued from the ocean in that location. But to see all of these charred, totally demolished cars, but the scenes of devastations will stay with me, and that is why I really thank the president for declaring an emergency declaration within hours of being asked to do that by the state of Hawaii. And I was there with the family of federal agencies, including the administrator of FEMA, SBA, U.S. Fire, and the 150 FEMA people are there. They brought in, sadly, cadaver dogs to continue the search.
What is it like for you on a personal level and on an emotional level to see this kind of horrific destruction and loss of life in your beloved home state?
Many of us have stayed in Lahaina. I did too, and it is an iconic town, and so many people went there because it's very, very historic. It was the seat of the monarchy, the capital of the monarchy, and there were many historic buildings, including, I have to say, this massive banyan tree, 150 years old, the oldest banyan tree in the country, and it is, my hope is that it will be restored. But very importantly, yes, as I said yesterday, we are in a period of mourning and loss as we search for more people who are still unaccounted for. Some of them have been found in the shelters. I visited one with some 400 residents sleeping on cots, and we are going to need to provide them with short-term and long-term housing. But we are all there en masse to do that.
Ordinary Hawaii residents have been mobilizing to support the victims of these fires, and as you note, FEMA is there and other government agencies. My colleague Bill Weir is reporting from Maui, and he's hearing from people there who are still desperate for more help from the government, people who are wondering, where's the Navy, where's the Army, why isn't the military flooding into the region, where are the hospital ships, etc. Are you satisfied that everything possible is being done to ensure these Hawaiians are getting all the help that they need from the government?
I can understand why there is frustration because, as I say, we are in a period of shock and loss. From what I can see, the government agencies are there. They are going to set up areas where people can come and get their driver's license restored, all of those kinds of things. But yes, they are going to need a lot of help. And from what I saw, there is a pledge. President Biden called me directly to pledge his support because we know that recovery will be long and the resources will be necessary. I have also heard from my Senate colleagues, Chuck Schumer and others, pledging their support. Recovery will be take a lot of resources, and the focus right now is truly on the recovery. There are still people who are unaccounted for. They need to be identified. There is a call for people to come in to provide DNA. So we are in the still, I would say, the initial phases, but we're going to do everything we can to provide the kind of support that people will need.
We're also hearing from Hawaiians questions about how this could have happened. There was a statewide assessment released last year saying that the threat to Hawaii residents from wildfires was low. A 2021 Maui report on wildfire prevention efforts found that the county fire department had no actual plan for preventing fires. And then I'm sure, as you've heard personally, many Maui residents say they didn't receive any official warnings before it was too late. And state officials are acknowledging that none of the 80 warning sirens on Maui were ever activated. Why do you think officials were so unprepared for this?
I'm not going to make any excuses for this tragedy, but the Attorney General has launched a review of what happened with those sirens and some of the other actions that were taken. So that is happening. And there will be time enough, I would say, for those kinds of reviews and investigations to occur. But we are really focused, as far as I'm concerned, on the need for rescue and, well, the location of, we know, sadly, more bodies. And as I talk with the people who are at this large place where the residents were, that yes, we're going to need to provide a lot of support. And that is why I'm asking for, and I expect to receive bipartisan support for additional funds that will enable us to recover. That recovery is going to take time. It is not going to be overnight by any means. It will take years. This is an entire town that has burned to the ground. Some 11,000 residents live there, and of the tourists who were there, thousands were evacuated to Oahu mainly, and the airlines really stepped up to lower their fees, and the hotels have also stepped up to provide lodging for our visitors. So I think that we are doing a lot in order to provide the kind of support we need to be providing, but there will always be the call for more. And my hope and expectation is that all of that will come.
Experts warn that extreme disasters such as this one are only becoming more common because climate change is fueling stronger storms, hotter temperatures, more widespread droughts. And earlier this week, President Biden incorrectly claimed he had already declared a climate emergency, which would give him additional powers to combat the climate crisis. Given what you're seeing on the ground, do you want President Biden to actually declare a climate emergency?
I think that we very, very much need to acknowledge that climate change is upon us. There are whole states, by the way, Jake, where you can't even use the words climate change because they still have a head in the sand attitude. But for example, the Inflation Reduction Act provided some $300 billion to combat climate change and to move us away from continuing reliance on fossil fuels. Yes, there is more that needs to be done, and there will be lessons learned from this ongoing tragedy for the other counties, as well as the county of Maui. Clearly, wildfires is an occurrence in Hawaii. People don't realize that that acres are burned in Hawaii as in so many other states. And in terms of the percentage of acreage burned, Hawaii is on a par with other states. There is not enough recognition that we are going to need to combat these kinds of wildfires. We have situations where the tremendously high winds that were attendant to Hurricane Dora just resulted in these flames just leaping and spreading in just I can't even tell you how fast the flame spread. So we need to be assessing our ability to contend with these kinds of natural occurring disasters, which we are seeing more of, and the frequency and the damage that is done. Clearly, this is happening all across the world.
Yeah. Senator Mazie Hirono, we thank you for your time, and our thoughts and prayers go out to the people of Hawaii this morning. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
And for those of you at home looking for ways to help Hawaii wildfire victims, you can head to CNN.com/ Impact, CNN.com/impact, where we have a list of vetted resources. Or you can donate by texting the word Hawaii, HAWAII, to 707070, 707070.